I'm Marquita Bushra. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Front Porch Politics. I'm Marquita Bushra, the Executive Vice President of the Black Conservative Federation. Normally, Deontay would be hosting, but he's out today, so I'll be holding down the front porch. We're coming off of an absolutely fantastic Black Conservative Federation 10-year anniversary celebration in our founder's hometown of Chicago, Illinois. We can't wait to tell you all about it. It was an incredible celebration of 10 years of conversation, community, and impact. And we're excited to share some of the highlights with you. So stay tuned. Welcome back. Before we jump into today's topics, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who joined us this past weekend as we celebrated our 10-year anniversary. It was an incredible weekend filled with fellowship, meaningful conversations, and a chance to reflect on how far we've come over the last decade. Melanie, can you give us any reflections you have from the past weekend?
Yes, it was my absolute honor to MC the event for this milestone, especially as one of the OGs of BCF, for sure. But it was really a wonderful event, a great time to honor the milestone that we had, and also a time to congratulate our leader, Deontay Johnson, and all that he has accomplished with BCF in this short amount of time. Of course, with the support of the founders who received recognition that night. So it was a great night and a great weekend. Of course, we all got there a couple days earlier so that we could fellowship and prepare for the event. And it was just all around a really good weekend.
Awesome. Dwayne?
Yeah, it was a great time in Chicago. It's always nice being in the Windy City. The skyline, the lights, I think it kind of just captured the moment very well being there, since that was the founding of the organization. And to see people come out and just support. The band was rocking. We had some nice drinks going in. And it was just a great event, especially I think the little surprise we had, we were able to give Deontay an award. You know, he normally picks up on all the little details, and he picked it up after the fact what was going on, but I don't think he necessarily knew. He'll probably say otherwise, but he's not here to say it now. So I think we got him in the surprise. Yeah, but I'm glad to be back here this week with the show. We missed it because we were there, but it was definitely a majestic night.
No, I couldn't agree with that more. Being able to surprise him, I would say, was definitely one of the highlights, but also just recognizing the founders, which included, of course, Melanie on the panel. It was just amazing just to see the outpouring of support that occurred at the beginning and how that, has just transitioned into even more. So definitely looking forward to seeing what we can do going forward for the next 10 years. With that said, I do want to apologize. Last week we weren't here. Well, the anniversary that kind of took us out of commission for the week. So apologies on that. But we are back and ready to talk about the topics of the week. Our first topic today actually is going to be about parents. Recently, we had Marlon Wayans come out and state that, he had issue with parents disciplining their children. So I think this is, I know we've kind of hit on this topic previously in the past, but interested in hearing your thoughts on that. Melanie, what you got for me today?
So there's a difference between spanking and beating, abuse. A spanking is very different. Now, I'm not going to say, I'm Gen X. That was before things like Child Protective Services was really a big thing. But I think, his statement to me struck me as weird because I'm like, how are you supposed to communicate with a baby? They don't understand like reasoning and logic. Their brains are not fully developed. But I think most like human living things understand, you're going to get a spanking if you don't behave yourself. I do think that there's other methods and things that you can use before you get physical, but the Bible says you spare the rod, you spoil the child. Now that doesn't always mean physical discipline. And if you are, a thoughtful parent, I would say you're probably going to try to engage some other strategies before you go right to that. That should be kind of like the ultimate, I think. But I don't, unless some kids don't need it, right? But some kids do. It's the only way to get the message across. So I think it depends on the child.
Yeah, I could see that. Dwayne, do you think it depends on the child how we discipline? How parents discipline?
I think for me, thinking of it as a former child to parents, and then also as a teacher.
A child, Dwayne. Like I was a child.
That wasn't even a shot at you. That was just my statement. I mean, if you feel guilty being old, I don't know. But I was just saying that thinking about it from a child's perspective, but then also a teacher. I think we've gotten too far away from just reality when it comes to kids. And I'm a big believer that as you're supposed to fear God, you're also supposed to fear the consequences of your parents. And that also means physical contact, because I'm worried, if I don't do right, I won't make it into the gates of heaven, or actually my entire towns will be blown away, in like the Bible. So you should also have this fear of, if I don't do right, there's consequences. And when you tell a child that, I'm just your friend, or I don't have to do this, you take tools out of your belt. Now, I'm not saying abuse, and that's something that I think people conflate. Discipline is a response to bad behavior that tries to put kids back in check. In the same way a police officer has to respond to lawlessness to put it in check. There's consequences. And sometimes you get hurt from not listening. That's why kids need discipline, so they understand that bad things can lead to consequences that are sometimes physical. So you have to behave well. So I think that something to not overexert, but it's never something you should remove.
So let me ask you this. Do you think children should be afraid of their parents?
Yes, absolutely. If I would just say, as a young man, if I didn't have my father that was 6'4", 3-something, that I knew that would stomp me into the ground, as a young man, I wouldn't have understood that there's someone that has more authority over me, that can physically harm me, that I have to respect, but also loves me at the same time. So I had to learn that regulation of emotions that's essential as a young man, which I think young men and young women, where they don't have that figure there that, can discipline you physically but loves you, you can become a undisciplined person and be a threat to society.
Melanie, you had something on that?
Yeah, I was going to say that it's a healthy fear that you have, much like we have a fear of our Father in heaven. It's that same type of fear. It's not like one where you cower like this. It's where like as a result of abuse, but it's a healthy fear, reverence, a fear of displeasing. We've gotten, I'm old enough to remember, probably you all may not be, when you could I'm also a former teacher like Dwayne, where, I may or may not have had to write 100 times, I will not talk during class, or something like that. That is now considered corporal punishment, and teachers are not even allowed to do that. I remember one time I skated through a mud puddle, and my mom made me write 100 times, I will not skate through a mud puddle. I know. Can you believe I actually got dirty? It's weird. But it's a true story. So but now, like, teachers can't even use those types of punishment because that's considered corporal punishment. So I think we had a generation that was doing a little more sparing the rod than spoiling the child. And so, generation now that are raising kids are doing like nearly no using of the rod. And I think we can see, the consequences of that. There needs to be balance everywhere. But we've got, when I was in first and second grade, like the teachers could beat you. The teachers could hit you.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, wow, Mel is old. She's super
old. Well, nuns used rulers
Okay.
back in the day too, didn't they?
Say it again?
I think nuns were able to use rulers back in the day. Yeah.
I remember my first grade teacher, Mrs. Hall. Now I am 55 years old and I still remember this. Like, I don't know what I did, but she like bent my whole hand back.
Wait a minute, not bending
and then when you get home, they're gonna write you up and you get home with the foolishness, and then your mom and your dad want to know, like, well, what did you do? And you get it again. So I think that's why Child Protective Services is a thing now. But and now teachers can't put their hands on the kids. You can't do anything. You can barely even speak to them harshly. So, we've gone way in the other direction, and now, a lot of these kids in school operating with impunity. What you going to do? I can't tell you how many times a student has told me to go make love to myself.
Wait, what?
Ain't got a write up. A write up.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay.
Talk
At the end of the day,
progressive discipline. Let them do it 2 or 3 more times, and then we'll suspend them. Like, what are we doing?
That's wild.
I was
At the end of the day, I agree with you both. I think there definitely has to be balance. I think children should have somewhat of a fear, but also be comfortable enough to come to their parents and have conversations. What you don't want to happen is for the child to be so fearful that they won't even talk to you about what's going on in their life. So yes, definitely balance is key. With that, speaking of balance, we've got a new potential run for president. Don Lemon apparently is being urged. Now, I don't know who's urging him, but apparently he's being urged to run in the next presidential election. Should we take this seriously, Dwayne?
2026 at some weird times. I don't know. I really don't know. Don Lemon is a very interesting character, to say the least. Don't know too much about his qualifications to be president, nonetheless, be an actual journalist. Yeah, I don't have much to say about that. I hope it doesn't happen, but also I think the pure comedy of it would be interesting too. So hopefully he does. Let's see.
Do you think Republicans have anything to worry about if he runs?
I don't know what a Don Lemon campaign would be. I think now if anyone that can act and perform a certain way and can captivate an audience, and he is an actor. People on the news, he knows how to passionately deliver a story. So I that would be very interesting to see. Can't rule anything out completely now. So
no, you're right, Melanie.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, on the one hand, we live in a Trump era right now, right? And people laughed and made fun of President Trump because he was a celebrity. And I'm in no way saying that I think that Don Lemon has the same skill set, political ability, acumen, smarts, pulse on the people. But I'm very, very hesitant to make predictions and make fun of folks when they desire to do something. In this day and age, we have socialists who are winning primaries, and if you'd asked me about this 2 years ago, I'd have said you were crazy. So I think we should take every candidate seriously. That's the way. If you're somebody who works on elections or runs for election, you either run unopposed or scared. So I would take him seriously and seek to obliterate him politically.
I love that. Yes. No, I agree with both of you. At the end of the day, he draws a large crowd. He has an audience. Even I believe he's on TikTok or maybe YouTube or something now. He's got an audience. The people, whatever his messaging is, they're interested in it. So I'll just say I'd be curious to know what he's going to stand for, what his agenda would look like. That I'd be curious about that.
Well, we know what it is.
Well, I mean, but maybe he'll switch up, because would you continue to run on the same things, or would you try to throw out a wider net and draw in some more people? You got to switch something up. I would imagine. I mean, I could totally be wrong, but that's what I would think.
Yeah, I know he's not going to probably protect churches.
Well, okay, not that, Dwayne, something else, but not what we would want, but
I know what he would want. Well, that would be interesting. I think if you can passionately deliver news on a cable news station for an extended period of time and have people buy in and think that you're a loyal, valid voice, I think it would take someone who's quite competent at debating, because he's done that a lot on the news, even though he wasn't supposed to. But that'd be quite interesting, actually.
Do you think he can make it out of a primary, though? Like, because remember, his show got canceled. And I think it got canceled for viewership. If it was making money, he would have never got canceled. So people were not watching his foolishness. And he's got, I don't know, a couple million followers on his platform. Does that mean that he's got the following to get the votes? Can he even is he going to really beat an AOC out of a primary? I think if he wins the primary, then maybe we got something to worry about. I don't know that he even makes it out of primary.
I mean, I don't know who would make it out of a primary now. It's quite interesting, but they have so many options, and I don't know where the Democratic Party, they're starting to break in a civil war now, where there's a little bit more moderate side, the John Fettermans, that are kind of coming out against the Mamdani side. We'll see how that ends up. But I mean, Don Lemon can contort himself in a certain ways. He has name recognition also.
That's true. But do you think that the Mandamis would help or hinder? Yes, some people are waking up to some of the stuff that's happening, but what enough is the question.
Depends on who runs. If there's an AOC in there, that's a loyalist DSA. So why wouldn't you support her? But if he is able to get on a debate stage and he's able to do something, I mean, I don't think it's the most likely, but it's not impossible. Stranger things have happened. So I don't know.
I hear the DSA has been debating about whether or not AOC was far left enough to be endorsed when they were talking about who they were going to endorse as a candidate. Now that's wild when you think about it. Like, if AOC is not liberal enough for you, then what are we doing?
I think at this point they're looking for either Bane or the Joker to just come out and say, I'm going to empty all the jails. I'm going to, they're just very extreme. And that's why we got to see how this civil war plays out between them. But
I'm here for it, though.
No, I agree. With that said, I think we will go to a quick commercial, and bam, I'm the commercial. So we've come off of such an inspiring weekend. We're all energized and ready to continue the work. The conversations don't stop, the issues don't pause, and there's plenty happening across the country that deserves our attention. We want you all to be involved. Head on over to bcfaction.com and partner with us. If you would like to help continue the celebration, consider signing up as a member, as we have a plethora of membership options to fit your needs. In addition, while you're there on bcfaction.com, there is a link to our store. Feel free to get merchandise, cups, hats, mugs, all the things. We would love to see your support. Send your photos. We'd love to share them. And with that, we will move right along. So recently, McDonald's has caused a little bit of controversy. Can we pull that clip up? Or the image? Maybe. Maybe not. Here we go. So apparently, I don't know who made McDonald's upset, but I guess all my life, I remember hearing growing up, we have food at home. We have McDonald's at home. We have Burger King at home. I grew up hearing that. I don't know if y'all did, but apparently McDonald's is tired of hearing it. And so their response is, okay, we also have unresolved family drama at home. My God, today I cackled when I saw this earlier.
So did I.
Is McDonald's on to something here, Melanie?
Listen, we talked about this a little bit earlier, and I was like, do not see how that isn't hilarious. I'm sorry. I do not see how anybody can have a problem with that. Like, McDonald's is the go-to that children beg for. We've been begging for McDonald's. I've been begging for McDonald's since I was a child, okay? Everybody has. And when your parents say, you got McDonald's money? We got McDonald's at home. I can make you a whole a burger. So, I think it was McDonald's clowning that dynamic. And I think if you can relax and have a little bit of a sense of humor, you find that to be funny.
Dwayne, was it marketing or was it messiness?
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But sometimes the best marketing is a little messy. I mean, we all remember the Wendy's era when Wendy's was just going crazy on Twitter and roasting.
They did. They did.
And it brought people to Wendy's because it was funny. And I think just for the average person growing up in America, McDonald's it's some part your childhood memories of seeing the Golden Arches, where they're on a road trip or somewhere, and it's like McDonald's or on the way home. And if you're lucky enough to get it, rushing to see that toy, to see what it is. It's very nostalgic. And now that people have to boost, McDonald's has to boost sales, have to keep people interested. It's not the Ronald McDonald style of humor, maybe of the past for McDonald's, but it's funny, like, what's your point? Like, you got food at home, like, we got beef at home too. Like, I want this McDouble and some fries. Like, let's pull up.
And there's a stat that says, I believe it's like 1 out of every 3 Americans has worked at McDonald's. There's 3 of us here. I worked there. I don't know if
I was at Burger King.
Oh, boo. So here we got 2 out of 3 folks that worked at McDonald's. And listen, that was a fun place to work when you were a kid.
Yeah, it was messy though.
It was messy.
Yeah.
And the fried apple pies are back, and I am loving it. I don't have. Listen, those fried apple pies with some ice cream. McDonald's should just cut us a check for all this talk. But I'm
about to say,
if you haven't done the fried apple pie with the ice cream on top, telling you,
I have a thing when I travel. Every different country I go to, I get McDonald's because it's usually something unique. I got McDonald's when I studied abroad in China, and they had a Big Mac that used like a sweet potato bun. It was purple. They had chicken wings, which were actually good. So yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm a daily McDonald's person. I still get a little excited when I see the Golden Arches. Even
I do too.
Really, I haven't eaten it in years. I think I'm good McDonald's. But the Mighty Wings they had years ago, speaking of wings, those were good back in the day. They were good. I guess my last question on this will be, reading the comment that they made or reading the post, I just wonder, were they talking to a specific set of folks with that message? Who was that message geared towards? Or is it just everybody? I couldn't help but think that when I saw it.
What you trying to say, Marquita?
I don't know.
I never thought, but maybe it is. I never thought it was like exclusively a melanated thing. We got McDonald's at home. But
it's such a black thing. Well,
your parents were telling y'all that too, right?
Was it say we got McDonald's at home? I feel like it's a cultural statement. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I've ever heard anybody else say that.
Oh my gosh. Was it just
you
us?
have? Okay.
Yeah. That's what, especially maybe not as much in certain regions, but I've definitely heard kids like, I want McDonald's. No, we have food at home. I've definitely heard that.
Yeah.
And I think also, like, unless we feel like certain communities have a monopoly over family drama, which I don't personally think.
Agreed. No, they don't.
I don't think the whole thing. I think sometimes we kind of like to monopolize certain cultural things as like, this is ours. But I think that generally more people than not have that similar feeling, even internationally, when they see fast food, having to tell kids no.
Okay, I'll take that. McDonald's, I was giving you the side eye, but they let you off the hook. They had to explain some things. I got it because I was like, "Who was that message for?"
Listen, everybody eating McDonald's. That's for everybody. Everybody. Because honestly, who doesn't have drama in their family too? Like, don't we all
Yeah, we
have
definitely all do.
something because we have people in our family? So,
Mhm.
I mean, you may stay out of it. You know, you may stay if you know, if you know how to bob and weave. You know, you can stay out of it.
Not that Bob weave.
Wowzers.
that might have been a weave.
You're doing too much, Dwayne. Not that kind of weave.
I cannot. My goodness.
I'm saying you can stay out of it, maybe.
Yeah.
But
No, we definitely try.
Everybody's family has some stuff.
I get it. I'm here for the banter. Other major corporations, businesses, get on the bandwagon because it's a cackle for me. So keep it up, McDonald's.
It's funny.
With that said, our next topic is regarding Representative Brandon Gill. He recently filed a bill requiring naturalized citizens to speak English. Melanie, jump right in there, please. I know you got
we get ready to disagree. I feel like we get ready to disagree. But
you think so? Okay.
I don't know. We're about to find out. I think people will be surprised to learn that although we are all on the right side of the aisle and we're all well melanated, that we don't always agree on everything. But
agreed.
I completely agree with this. And for me, it's a practical thing. It's a matter of practicality. I don't understand these people that are like, we should have 36 different languages like they do in other countries. Why? Why should we do that? Like, yeah, every other country does a metric system too. We're America. We do American things. That's just what we do. Okay? And to me, from a practical perspective, you know, it makes more sense for us to have a uniformed thing, a uniformed language that everybody speaks, that everybody knows what page we're on. You know, there are situations where people go to hospitals or go to different public entities where they speak a different language and they're not able to communicate. No, I feel like there's no other country on the face of the planet where when people go there to live, that they feel like, you know, you don't have to learn that country's language. We're the only country where the people feel like, oh no, you don't have to learn English. We should get an interpreter for you. That makes no sense from a practical perspective, from a safety perspective. When I was a teacher, I was talking about the different Spanish speaking kids, and somebody said, well, why don't you just learn Spanish? And I was like, well, that would be great if they were all the same dialect. I have one kid from Guatemala. I have another one who's from Spain. I have another one who's from Venezuela. They are all different dialects of Spanish. So it doesn't work that way. And also, you came here. If you want to come here and live here, you should learn the language. I think it's that simple.
Yeah. Dwayne?
So I have a philosophical point to where I feel like this is where we are live seeing our country be colonized, essentially, to where we're expected to erase our cultural norms to be like everyone else, and be proud about it, or else you'll be called racist. In the United States, we're an English Christian nation. We should be unapologetic about saying that, because if you say that this is an English speaking nation, people will say, no, it's not, because it's not official. Even though you drive on the highway, everything's in English. And then when you say we're a Christian nation, they'll say, no, we're not, separation of church and state. When in 1960, I think 90 or 95% of the country was Christian. And it literally says, in God we trust.
Mm-hmm.
We have a demographic of people who are either sympathetic and from here or not from here, that's asking America to bend to the world and become like the world and become tribal, as opposed to maintaining our heritage, our culture, and our way of life. English in a nation is, a language in a nation is essential to who you are. If you're going to choose to come here, you should choose to change your name. When people used to come here, they would even change their language. They would even change their last name to assimilate.
Mm-hmm.
We're told as Americans to assimilate to everybody else. And what we're trying to do now, I think what Brandon Gill is trying to do, is to try to stop the erasure of American culture, be a language and flooding of international cultures here. But the question to me is it too late? Because you walk around New York City, you might hear Arabic, you might hear Spanish, you hear Chinese, and it's hard to find people sometimes that even speak your language. I don't remember the last English or American Uber driver I had. It's like cultural displacement and even population displacement. And we will lose our country and we'll be colonized, just like Lebanon, just like Syria, just like Iran, just like Palestine, if we allow the world to mold who we are and define who we are as Americans as opposed to Americans. My last point, you have someone like Zora Mondani that wasn't even born here, that's literally defining what it means to be a New Yorker, what it means to be an American. How do we allow people that are not even from here to define what being an American is? Isn't that exclusive to Americans? Well, this is 2026. And this is what colonization is looking like in America.
No, I don't disagree with either of you. Go ahead, Melanie.
No, I was going to say, it's like America isn't entitled to have a culture. They pretend, people pretend, leftists pretend like American isn't a culture. It most certainly is a culture. You know, and just because you can celebrate American culture and also celebrate the culture of a country or a background you came from. The beautiful thing about America is that you literally can do both. But I completely agree with Dwayne that there are people who are trying to erase that, or trying to make Black people feel like we shouldn't embrace American culture because of how our descendants got here.
No, No, I agree with that. I'll say this though. Do you think that it's a lack of support that people who come over here have in feeling at home and being willing to learn the language, or they just don't care? They just want to come from where they came from and plop, you know, their country in America and just live in their own bubble. What is the reason? Like, why would you ever want to move somewhere and not assimilate?
Well, I would even ask another question. Why would you move to a country that you don't like? Why would you move to a country that you don't like and then try to represent in U.S. Congress a country that you despise? It's colonial thinking without actual fighting and missiles or swords, but in ideology, it's as colonial and conquistador as it is. I'm sorry, I was...
Conquistador.
Yeah. Okay.
Conquistador. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I haven't used that one in a while, but yes, and the mindset. And you know, I wish it was that people don't have the support, but people came over here with much less and they figured it out. We have listening devices, TV, song, all types of ways of media to, if you want to learn English and different dialects of English in America, you can. This is intentionally erasure, and what you see, you go a lot of places. Like if you go to a New York City voting center, you'll see about 30 different languages. To vote in America, at minimum, shouldn't you be able to speak English? Why am I helping you if you don't know the language be able to vote? That's a little suspect. Even when we were at the hotel, if you looked at the elevator, it had English and Spanish, they had Arabic, all of these different languages. Well, you're in the United States.
I'll say this, just to play devil's advocate. Is it possible that it makes sense to do things like that in a tourist area? So Chicago is a tourist area. A lot of people travel there. A lot of international flights, I think, land there. There's a whole Chinatown there. So I would imagine that a lot of them who come over, maybe that's their first stop. So with respect to that, does it make sense to have additional languages in the elevator or elsewhere?
It can partly do that, yes, but also English was the standard language of the world to learn for money. So we didn't have to put any other language there because people can't. That was the standard. If you wanted to be in the modern economy, you had to learn English. That didn't change. And a lot of these countries, when people come here, they do, with money and tourists, they do a lot of times speak English because that is another language that they speak abroad. So in a way accommodating, but now I've even seen Home Depots in Dearborn, Michigan, to where they had English and then they had Arabic in the aisles. That's in a
I
Home
saw that in
Depot.
the airport when I went to Michigan. I was
Yeah.
like, as soon as I was like, what in the what? But I live in a resort area. It's actually 4% Black, 13% Hispanic. Because we had New Jersey, we had a lot of people during the last hurricane from Puerto Rico. A lot of folks came from Puerto Rico. I think we got like, our county got like 20,000 folks, right? So it's like 13% Spanish speaking. And we have a lot of people from Canada that come visit here during the summertime. We don't have second language nowhere, no public places. Not that I'm gonna be on the lookout now and see if I'm wrong about that. But I can't remember. I've lived here for 40 years. I do not, to this day, see any other different languages. And we have people come to Cape May County from all over the world.
I guess the thing is, so should this happen in the reverse? I know I haven't personally been, but I know a lot of the Asian countries, they're touristy. They have multiple languages as well as English on restaurant, street signs, etc. Should this, if America is expected to assimilate to other cultures, should this be required elsewhere outside of our country?
If you're going to live, yeah.
Well, I'll say this, like a prime example. If I'm allowing you to come into my country and you can express your religious views freely and I can change my language, that means I should be able to do the same there. If I go to Saudi Arabia as a Christian, I'm not going to have the same rights as someone that is Islamic coming from Saudi Arabia to the United States. If that happens in massive numbers enough, then I'm getting colonized because it's not a two-way street. And again, the reason a lot of those countries had English was because we saw ourselves as the standard. This is why everywhere you go, when it comes to the economy, people generally learn English. That still hasn't changed. So when we start to change things, and I get the airports in some way, but even still, I'm American. I just want to see English. I live here, but all right, I could kind of see the airports. But when you start to talk about my day-to-day life, like in New York City, right outside the Queenstown Tunnel, the mayor paid for a billboard in Arabic, a New York City Health billboard in Arabic. That is not even 10% of the New York City population, I would assume. But the question is, why is New York City 40% foreign born? Why is Los Angeles 40% foreign born? Why is it that 8 out of 10 people that reside here either come from first or second generation or even direct immigrant status? At what point do you no longer remain American? At what point are you so international that you're colonized and become tribal because there's nothing bringing you together? And languages are one thing as a country, which was the beautiful part which made us separate from Europe, is we are almost many countries all united by the same language, unlike Europe.
He doesn't say colonized like 45 times. Send your hate tweets to @Dwayne Moore.
I mean, liberals use the word.
I don't know what your handle is. I'm just playing.
I learned you gotta colonize the language from the liberals because they'll keep saying it to you, and if you don't use it,
but you're not wrong. I'm joking about it, but you're legitimately not wrong. But I just know that when I click this and you say colonize, people are gonna snap. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's the only judgment I care about is the Lord above.
Hey, man above. Hello, somebody. You better say it again, Dwayne.
But the truth is the truth. Yeah.
Yep. Sure enough. But
no, it is.
I do think the dollar is also worth more in tourism places abroad. So it attracts, like you want, and they know Americans, they know we're Neanderthals that don't learn other languages, right? So if they want us to come there, they know they're going to have English somewhere if they want to communicate with us. Like even like if you go to Mexico or any other like super touristy place that Americans go, they know English. Why? Because they want to work with Americans. They want to make money.
No, I guess that's fair. But let me flip the switch. If I'm coming from another country, I'm native to another country and I'm coming to America. America's opening their doors to me. They're giving me assistance. I guess I would, and I speak another language, I kind of would expect if they're being so welcoming in these other aspects, well, maybe I don't necessarily need to learn the language. I can just come as I am.
Yeah, this is exactly why we have Hamas
Nah.
flags in the street
I
right
mean,
now.
I'm just saying that's probably their perspective.
Yeah, I'm saying this
Honestly,
is
and
the
I can't
mindset.
fault them for that.
Yeah, because I can't blame them from feeling this way, and they're not wrong because we've removed ourselves from being the standard, and we said we're going to be like everyone else. So they're not wrong for those expectations. I have my view as a proud American that wants America to stay American. But for so many people, when we're told that diversity is your strength, and we need everyone to look like the world, and if you look like the world, you don't look like you. You know, you can get so much plastic surgery to say that you're just like everyone else, but at some point, your face is not going to come back. Like, you look completely different, and you're not going to like what you see. So there's a certain point where we have to ask, what is it to be American anymore? What is our identity? I actually had a debate with somebody recently, and they were like, what is it even to be American? Like, what is our culture? And it's a sad question, but it's so true because people don't know what it is to be American. New York City is not an American place.
No.
I mean, aside from being born here, now that you ask that, I mean, I have to think about besides being born here, what else is there? Yeah, it's a valid question, actually.
I think there's so much. Our way of life, our highways, our infrastructure, our food.
Our freedom, yes, I'll give you that. But I mean, if I think about other cultural things that bring us, besides that we all speak the same language and we were born here, and freedom, what other things really mesh us together, like taking away color, race, all the things? I think
it used to be our clothes, the way we dressed. It used to be that the cars, driving a Cadillac at one point, that's an American beauty. We had pride in our American made products at one point, that the world, like every country doesn't have an auto industry. So driving a Ford in the 60s was, I got an F-150. There was American pride there. Now it's just a car.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Things have changed so much. I got to think about it to answer that question. Melanie, we'll wrap up with you.
So I think that as Americans, we take for granted the things that we have that they don't freely have in other countries, like freedom of religion, like freedom of speech. There are so-called free countries that can't speak negatively or joke about their leadership. We can worship any way that we please, as long as we're not like hurting anyone, right? Which is constantly up for debate of what hurting someone with your worship even is denoted. In a lot of other countries, even the so-called free ones, that's not even up for debate. So I think that when you're born into that level of freedom, it comes with a certain amount of pride and attitude. And I think other countries perceive it as entitlement, but that's because of the way that we've grown up and what we're used to, right? So I think that is what it is to be American. We've embraced this concept of freedom and liberty and capitalism and opportunity to work as hard as you can and get as much as you want, and also be philanthropic and help your neighbor and support others. And you're free to do that on a lot of different levels that don't exist in other places. So I think that attitude is what is indicative of what it means to be an American. And it has nothing to do with your skin color.
No, I love that. And you're right. And the fact that hearing you say it, it's like, well, duh. But you forget that living here, you literally take it for granted. But these are things that I think have to be continually put into our brains. The messaging needs to continue to be shared so that we do remember and recognize that we are blessed to be Americans and to live here. So I love that.
Many places you'll go to prison for having a Bible.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to be a Christian in a lot of places. You're not even allowed to have a Bible. People don't understand that.
And I'll say, actually, I think it does. Being American actually does have a color to it. Now, it's inclusive to others. But if I look at this country before 1960, it was primarily either white or black. And then we've included everyone else. But I don't want us to also to erase the foundation of what the country looked like from 1776 to 1960. Because we're all just saying, it could be anybody. But as you said, I think people should be proud of the opportunity, but also know that it could be taken away. In the same way
Absolutely.
Lebanon has fell, Syria has fell, Iran has fell, the entire Middle East, which used to be followers of Christ, have
Yeah,
fallen and taken over. People a lot of times get drunk off the fruit of God's country, that they forget how to run God's country, and then they run it to a place where He has to destroy. So I think we have to be grateful, but know that our freedoms really come from God, and if we take Him
that's
out of it,
right.
it'll be taken away.
You're absolutely right. I love that. We need to teach our children all of these things so that they don't forget, because it's so easy for us to forget, getting caught up in daily life and taking things for granted. So I love that. For our last topic, a lighter topic, but very controversial this week. Doctor, I'm not even sure if I should use doctor. Cheyenne Bryant. Is it a lowercase d? I don't know. Cheyenne Bryant has been in the media this week. Apparently, a few months ago, she was getting some flack for, not being able to show proof of her actually being a doctor. And so now all of a sudden she's been quiet for a few weeks. She popped out this week with a robe, a graduate robe. The problem is, though, that people have recognized is that the graduate robe, I believe the color she's wearing is for education. And she, what was her doctorate supposedly in? I forget what it was in, but apparently she's wearing the wrong color. Dwayne, now Melanie, what are your thoughts on this? Psych. So she's wearing the wrong color for psych. I don't know which color is psych, but blue is not it. Melanie, what are your thoughts on this?
I think she needs to see a psych if this is true. Like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? I don't understand. I never even heard this. I never even heard of this woman.
Is this my camera? Oh, this is my camera? Oh, this is my camera? Okay.
For what reason? Why?
I guess my thing is I'd love to zoom in on the degrees. What is that actually behind her? Melanie, go ahead.
I don't know what's going on there. I don't understand why you would do any of this, except maybe for clicks, I guess. Like, why would you lie in I'm always amazed about public figures who tell bold-faced lies about their history in the internet age and in the information age, where it's so easily found out and can be verified. Like, I don't get it. I actually got accused of this the first time I ran for election, accused of not having a master's degree. And a paper wrote that I didn't have a master's degree. It was a complete lie. And I was like, did you Google it? It was literally in the paper. And I Googled it myself. And our local paper, for some reason, printed everybody who got a master's degree in the paper and what college they got it from. I was like, if you had Googled it, you could have verified it.
Wow.
So, like, what are we doing? Why?
I don't know. And then it's so easy to find the robe on Amazon. Dwayne, is she trolling or still trying to evade the question? Like, what's happening?
I miss the days when people's pride came from their family, their husbands, their kids, their homes, and not just pieces of paper on the wall. If you, and it doesn't mean that, if they're real, that there's not a level of accomplishment there. But at the end of the day, you can't take those things with you. And if you're fighting to prove to people that pieces on the paper on the wall are so significant to you, I think that kind of makes me question what is important to you, whether your values are in the right place. I think sometimes we have to be mindful of the Jezebel spirit that all of us might have and the need for attention. But I hope that she has more pride in her family life than she does as pieces of paper on the wall.
No, I agree with that. Do we think that she owes the public a response about her doctorate, her PhD?
I mean, it was all for attention because when you have I haven't went to look for my degree since I think I got it, and I haven't
Same.
really need to talk about it unless I was applying for a job somewhere. So the fact you even need to have this social conversation with people over the internet that you don't know to go through the headache of creating a video to defend it kind of shows what you need to see from there. But if she's looking for validity from people she don't know on the line, maybe online, maybe that's the issue that she should be fixing first.
Yeah,
But I
she.
mean, for her to be like the school closed down and I couldn't get the transcript, like, and listen, maybe I don't know enough about her history. Maybe she's been working for herself for a long time or whatever. But I know, like, whenever you apply for jobs, a lot of times, especially in teaching, you have to provide a transcript of your degree. Like, I have like 10 copies of my transcript sealed in an envelope from my school because that is often asked for at a certain point. Why does she not have that? Why does she not have it somewhere? It makes no sense. But also, it's kind of psychotic to lie about something like that. And then when you get busted, instead of like throwing yourself at the mercy of the public, you double down and make up stories about why you don't have it. Like, you need help. Does she have a family? Like,
She's single. And I've known about her for several years now.
I know what Dwayne's going to say, and don't you dare.
What was I about to say? Now tell me, what was I going to say?
Yeah, that's why she's single, concerned about that education.
I wasn't going to say that.
To be clear, my ex-husband encouraged me to get my master's degree. I was married when I got mine. Just want to be clear about that. Yes.
Well,
yes, I was married.
I guess my thing is she's been in the media. She's been on TV for quite some time now. I mean, I remember her several years ago on Teen Mom coming in to talk to the girls, give them, and I don't remember if she used the term therapist, doctor, or psych. I don't remember, but she was on there like helping them, talking with them and their families and walking them through things. I'm not sure why her credentials weren't checked then for whatever she is.
If you're a psychologist, then no doctor. If you're a psychiatrist, then you are a doctor. Typically the way that works, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because they can prescribe.
Right.
You know, I would just say if I think people should be more concerned about judgment from the Holy Father than they are from people online. And when we start to give into that, where we're much more concerned about people online than we are the judgment of whether we're actually making the Father happy or not, then we're just controlled from the flesh and earthly things that really don't matter. So sometimes it's a question of priorities.
That's true. I hope she's going to be okay. Whatever the
I hope so too, but we shall see.
Those degrees can't keep her warm at night. So,
well, this is the thing. So since she's putting such an emphasis, been in the media about this for the past few weeks, do you think that she's made her degree an idol, or do others make their degrees idols?
Yes, they do.
You think so?
Yeah, and it's not to take anything away from people that have degrees. And I have a degree, and people that have had those accomplishments are still amazing, and I would still encourage those that should to do it. But it shouldn't become an idol or something that you hold up to others or make people feel bad about, because ultimately a degree is meaning that you could take instruction well and see something through. It doesn't mean you can run a business. Doesn't mean that you can invent something. Doesn't mean that you could think outside the box. Doesn't necessarily mean you're the most intelligent person in the room. So, you know, I think sometimes people go too far in academia thinking that it's, everything or the Holy Grail. And it's not, it's
I
not.
think the first thing you learn when you, especially, in those kind of programs, is that it's not about smarts at all. It's just not. It's just not like Dwayne said. It's more about the ability to be disciplined and that kind of thing. Like if you can read just about anything, you can get just about, and you got the time to put in, you can get just about any degree you want. Maybe not the sciences or the maths. I don't know, but like business degrees, public administration, like what I have, it's not that deep, really.
No, you need motivation, and drive. So I agree with that. I'm curious to know about our audience, though. about the specific to whether degrees can be considered idols. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. I'm curious because I never thought about it until now, but Dwayne brings up a good point.
I think they can be.
Yeah. No, I see it. Absolutely. Yeah. With that said, we are at the end of our show, folks. This has been an amazing week. Glad we had the opportunity to celebrate our 10-year. I do want to thank everyone who's ever attended our events, supported our mission, volunteered, partnered with us, or has stood alongside us over the past 10 years. Thank you. Your commitment and support to help make the Black Conservative Federation what it is today is key, and we're excited to see what the next decade holds. With that, we do have a video that we shared at our anniversary, so please stay tuned. And with that, it's a wrap on the porch. You all have an amazing week, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Ten years ago, started with a conviction. Not every moment would be easy. Not everyone would understand. But there will be no one who won't receive help because there's nowhere that we won't go. I started the Black Conservative Federation because I understood the definition of insanity. I understood that insanity was doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And I got tired of watching my community do that same thing. I was tired of watching my community vote for a party that did not have their best interests. Vote for a party that took their votes for granted. Voted for a party that went against everything that we believed in as Black Americans. You know, one of the things that surprises me is not just 10 years of success with the Black Conservative Federation, but it's 10 years of people who not just supported the journey, but rolled up their sleeves and joined me in the fight. In 10 years, we've had an amazing, in fact, a remarkable team. And a team that was comprised, and that is comprised, of individuals who truly love America. You know, as I think about individuals like Quentin Jordan, who came onto the organization because he saw the need and understood the need just as much as I did. Marquita Bushrod, our executive vice president, who's a parent and, you know, was really concerned about the education of her child and the strength of her community. Individuals like Melanie Collette, who had a voice in media, but also embodied everything that it means to be conservative. Individuals like Christian Newton, who started as an intern, my chief of staff, and now is serving in the presidential administration as the chief of staff to the Department of Science. This movement is more than just team members from the Black Conservative Federation, but it's a hub for Black conservatism, enriching everything that it means to be conservative: opportunity, excellence, and freedom to flourish. Over the last 10 years, the Black Conservative Federation has knocked over 5 million doors. We've trained over 1,000 volunteers. We've made numerous phone calls, but also, when we started this organization, only had 2 members of Congress. Now we have 4. The movement has been about enriching and representation from the local county level to the national level. But throughout the last 10 years, one of the most important things we've done is influence policy that truly change our community. Policy that gives people who were treated unfairly under the justice system a second chance. Policies that refurbished our communities, such as opportunity zones, ensuring that students are educated with the best resources, that gave historically Black colleges unlimited funding. But what's important to realize is that anniversaries are milestones that indicate steps in a journey. and our journey is far from over. The years that lie ahead are filled with so many possibilities and a plan to further strengthen our community. So I simply want to say thank you to our generous donors who have supported us every step of the way, to the countless volunteers and staff from the Black Conservative Federation that has put in the work, to individuals like Congressman Byron Donalds and Jack Brewer and Corinne Rankin is serving as chair of the Black Conservative Federation. But most importantly, I want to say thank you, President Trump. Your support for the Black Conservative Federation has amplified this movement. And thank you to each of you, future members, current members, future leaders, current leaders, but most importantly, Americans. This journey has not been one alone. Many tears have been cried, many mistakes have been made, but along the way, the success story is about the path forward. The success of the Black Conservative Federation is not about me. It's not about candidates winning elections. It's not about political parties, but it's about us, you and I, building together to create a better America.